Thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, federal government rearrests IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu as court grants DSS order to detain him. Governor Matawale formally defects to APC as PDP labels defecting governors as lacking courage. And later on the show, aggrieved Anambra APC governorship aspirants petitioned President Buhari to nullify Andy Uba's candidacy. I'll be hanging out with Paul Dada and Oba Adeoye. So if we are ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. For years, the acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, became an elusive cat after he jumped bail in 2017 and was subsequently declared wanted by the federal government. But the fugitive IPOB leader has been rearrested. According to a statement by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, Nnamdi Kanu was said to have intercepted by joint security operatives. Meanwhile, Justice Binta Yako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has granted application to detain Kanu in a facility of the DSS ahead of resumption of his trial. Justice Yako adjourned till the 26th of July for continuation of the trial. Obadi, let me start from you. It has been said that the president has been emphasizing it that when it comes to national security, human rights will take, the back seats. Now, Nnamdi Kanu has been arrested. Don't forget that he was arrested in 2017 and he jumped bail. He jumped bail
and put some people in trouble.
Yes, and he jumped bail. I don't see him seeing the light of the day for a long time.
It's like
because you say, you say the allegations against him, they are available, that this is not a flight risk, it's not this, but this one has proven to be a big time flight risk. Now, what came to my mind immediately I got this story was, in the last 3, 4, 5 months, I've taken time out to listen to Maz Nnamdi Kanu. It's another thing to listen to any freedom fighter that wants something for his people, which is legitimate. I worked closely with
Nnamdi Kanu.
The one before, the non-violent one. Chief Raf Nwazuruke. At any point in time, Raf Nwazuruke is in his house in Agulejika in Oshodi. I go there, I listen to them, but it has always been a case of they want freedom, but no violence, in a no violence way.
What has happened to Nnamdi Kanu this time around? I think the government is justified to keep him in serious detention this time around, and I doubt if anybody will give him any bail again, because already Justice Binta Nyako had revoked the bail which he jumped, and in which he put some eminent Nigerians in trouble. Those ones stood as shorty for him.
Yes.
And before they could blink their eyes, the man bolted away. The man just disappeared. And my worry, the initial question that came to mind is that he was asked to drop all his passport, all his travel documents. How did he manage to escape the shores of Nigeria that were told that he was sent somewhere
for a long time? For a long time, a lot of people were saying that he's dead, that he has been killed.
Yeah, that's
a long time. That always Nnamdi Kanu,
but now that has been put to rest.
And until he resurfaced somewhere in Israel, after some time he was in the UK for a long.
So for me, I think the 100 million naira bounty placed on his head by some northern groups, so to say, appeared to have done the magic, because sincerely, it appears to me like people who are very close to him must have betrayed him in a way, because this is not the first time that the government has been working with Interpol or what have you, and how come that weeks after 100 million bounty was placed on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? It's possible, but again, we need to look at the conspiracy theory there, that how possible Kelan or Omokuleni, the witch is held yesterday and the child died today. If you had one-on-one together, you get two, that the witches are probably responsible for the death of the child. So for me, it appears the 100 million naira bounty did the magic this time around, and I want to see how this plays out this time around, because I know that Nnamdi Kanu will be treated as a first-class guest of the federal government this time around. He will not be allowed. You said it in your opening remarks that President Buhari said, look, human rights will go to the back burner anytime state security is at stake. Let's see what becomes of Nnamdi Kanu this time around, and let's see how the government treats him.
Paul Dada, I took time to listen to this one, as I told listen, and I saw that it went beyond fighting for the emancipation of the Igbo people. At a point in time, this young man started dishing out orders that people should be apprehended, people should be hacked down, properties should be burnt. I'm telling you what I listened to on internet, in his broadcast. I took time. At a point in time, I felt that this was beyond the freedom he's agitating for.
Exactly, because when you are seeking freedom, you don't have to call for violence. We have self-determination groups in this country. We have people that agitate, other people that are agitating for whatever, independence or whatever, and they are doing it in a very peaceful manner. People are holding rallies, they are not causing problems. But you are there, outside the country, calling the shots, asking people to foment trouble, harass this, do this, and do
burn this person's house.
Burn this person's house.
Yes, go after this person. That was the
what
point.
I think is even going to happen, beyond the issue of jumping bail, I expect, I anticipate that it is even possible they amend these charges, because there are other offenses that he
like the mysterious unknown gunmen
ostensibly as committed. Now, I'm not going to sit as a judge over him, but we are just looking at the situation, because if you are arrested, everybody is presumed innocent until proven yes. But apparently, we know what he has been saying. We know his rhetorics. We know what he has been doing. So expect amended charges, or maybe even another matter. It may be brought up against it in another arm of the Federal High Court. It's possible. It's going to be a very long battle. It's going to be a very long. It's going to be a long case, or maybe even cases in court. But what I expect is, for God's sake, we don't want technicalities to affect this. We don't want the prosecution to bring this man under maybe non-existent laws or defective laws. You understand what I'm trying to say? They should do. We don't want to hear, okay, there's no diligent prosecution. We don't want to hear that. And then I also hope the judge or the judges, in case the positive cases, I hope that the judges also will be, the judge will be courageous enough not to entertain frivolous applications that have the potential to stall trial, because we know that lawyers are very good. There are very good lawyers in this country, but we know that lawyers are also very good at bringing frivolous preliminary objections that can stall matter. It is in the interest of the federal government.
Today, so that's fast enough.
No. This what happened today was arraigned, but I think it was like, okay, we've got him back.
The trial resumed after he jumped the bail.
Exactly, because his lawyers still need to be informed that this man.
I think the government does not want to give any room at all. That's why he was arrested and immediately arraigned. So there's no excuse, nothing at all.
It's in the interest of the federal government, in the interest of Nigeria, it's in the interest of Nnamdi Kanu that the case is treated very fast. I'm not saying that they should rush it, but treated within a reasonable length of time.
Oba, when you look at the first, when it was arraigned and it was granted bail, a lot of agitation. There was this agitation that, look, there will always be this problem in the southeast, and the followers across the world. Don't delude yourself. You have this young man has a lot of followers, especially outside the country.
Germany,
yes, and as in
UK,
everywhere. Our brothers from the east, outside Nigeria, a lot of them, even financially and everything. So Now the agitation got to a very like a crescendo that time, and it was granted bail, and people like Senator Abaribe stood as shorties and everything. Now, do you see such clamor for human rights again now that he has jumped bail and he was arrested definitely outside the shores of Nigeria, because Interpol was mentioned?
Yeah, shortly before this show opened, I was reading a report that Nnamdi Kanu claimed that the reason he jumped bail was because he was afraid that he could be killed the way other people in similar situations have been killed in the past, according to the report I read. And part of the reason again is that his house was raided by unknown men, and he was just afraid for his life that he had to jump bail. But that is not an excuse.
So
it's not an excuse.
When you go to Europe, what's now happened?
It's not an excuse before the law. So this time around, I want to. I don't want to sound like someone who wants the worst for him, but I don't see anybody coming out again to stand shorty or to stand in the gap for Nnamdi Kanu because of the kind of disgrace, the kind of embarrassment that he has caused people who stood shorty for him. This time around is going to be 50-50, face-to-face with the federal government. I don't know if anybody will come to stand shorty for him. Again, another outcome of this arrest, the outcome of this arrest may go two ways. Is either heightened unrest in the southeast, or the unrest will just quell naturally. But one thing is sure and is certain, that whatever happens to Nnamdi Kanu, whether he's jailed, whatever happens to him, there's going to be another leader for the secessionists. There's no doubt about that. It's an ideology, and it's difficult to be killed in courtrooms. That there will be another leader, or there will be another set of leaders, or there will be other groups. Yes, before now, you mentioned Chief Ralph Uwanzuruke. What we knew was Masob, and suddenly IPOB just came up. It's possible that another organization spring up again from the southeast. My advice for the federal government is that let's go to the root cause of this problem and address them.
Looking at the struggle, it took another dimension, I think, on the 29th of last month.
Okay.
This young man virtually grounded the whole southeast, as in, is that strong? All the way from London. I listened to his interview with Dele Momodu and online, and that day the whole of the southeast was shut down. That shows I don't think there's any governor or even that can, Now what we're looking at here now is, he talked about ideology. He talked about the rising profile and popularity of this young man. He's fighting a cause.
Exactly.
And how justiciable is that cause? One. Number two, has this administration somehow given a kind of, rise to this cause due to its action or inaction?
Well, like Oba said, it's an ideology. It's an ideology. What we should have done in this country, or what we should be doing, is how do we stop another Nnamdi Kanu from rising? Even if Nnamdi Kanu is stopped, even if he's jailed, because it's an ideology. Apparently, there are people in the southeast who feel that
they are feeling shortchanged.
Exactly, they are feeling shortchanged. And you talk about the man having influence, ordering a sit at home and people obeying. Of course, some may have obeyed out of fear. I don't just want to go out because of trouble and all of that. Other people also, they obeyed because they believe.
Okay, let me take this call. Okay. Olushola is calling us from Oyo State.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Shola. Thank you for staying with us.
The analyst in the house. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Honestly, I want to appreciate the federal government for coming to tell us that the indigenous leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has finally been arrested. That's very good. And I will appreciate federal government and Mr. President to make sure that they follow the Constitution in making sure that they follow in due process prosecuting him. Why? Because he has ended up in calling our country different kind of names. But what I am afraid of is the spirit of IPOB going to be killed in the heart and minds of every other people. He has imputed that ideology into them. But just as the way the man in suit said, the federal government should face the real thing and make sure that we come back to the round table, discuss it, and make sure there is good governance in our country.
Okay, so we have disgruntled groups everywhere in the country, and you cannot say that their agitations are not reasonable. What they are calling for are not reasonable. They are calling for social justice. They are calling for equity. They are calling for fairness. They are calling
but
for.
It's different from calling for their own republic outside.
That is the reason. Well, that is actually because they observe absence of certain things. No, the agenda didn't just start today. It didn't just start at the time of Buhari. You had Raf Uwazurike, who also felt that the region had been shortchanged. But you've had so many others coming up. You have a Sunday Igboho Yoruba Nation agitation. We were not having that before. So it means there is something that the government is not doing right. Everybody's talking about the commentaries are all over the place. There's something, and again, I also think that the statements that come out of some of the players in government, including the president himself, are not showing that they are really serious, taking seriously the issues that, for example, when your president says that IPOB members are everywhere, they have investments everywhere. I mean, calling.
No, he says something particularly.
A dot in it. Yes, now, of course. When you say that to people who are already disgruntled, and you call all of them IPOB, don't forget also that it's not every Igbo man that is supporting IPOB. I've seen Igbo men that think Nnamdi Kanu is a non-entity or something.
There are Igbo men in this government.
Exactly. Okay. There are Igbo men in this government, and of course they are not going to support. And then you now call a whole ethnic group dot in a circle, or you call them IPOB. For me, it shows that you are not even willing to meet with them. You are not willing to even listen to them. You disdain them. It's an unmuffled disdain.
You can't substantiate
it seems
that.
So. That's the way it seems.
Well, you can still substantiate that. Now, when you look at, even the style. Okay, I've listened to the man called Sunday Igboho. I've listened to the way his statement and everything, and sometimes there's also a tendency for him to go overboard and everything. Now, looking at the style of Nnamdi Kanu, do you know that that gist that former President Olusegun Obasanjo debunked yesterday, that I uploaded on my Facebook yesterday? That this young man started that gist that Mr. President is no more. Mr. President has been dead. He's buried. This is and he succeeded.
He stood by it.
No, as in a lot of people believe
till today.
Inside the Sudan,
this is Buhari from
Sudan. Started that conspiracy too.
He started that conspiracy that this is Jubril from Sudan, and a lot of people
followed him up till today.
Former President Obasanjo yesterday, I listened to that soundbite. I said, "Wow." But this is at the negative side of the social media. And so if Twitter was banned because of his activities on Twitter, and say, it was when they published something on the president and the president's statement was brought down, but he has always been making inciting statements and to undermine the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes, and that's why it's important that just like Olushola Ukot said, that the government, and I think Paul earlier mentioned it, that the government needs to follow due process in prosecuting this man and within reasonable time frame, so that you don't create unnecessary room for some other things that may stall the process or create further. Whether you like it or not, Nnamdi Kanu is so influential, not just in the Southeast, but even to people who live outside the Southeast, who live outside Nigeria. It's so influential.
Across the world.
The Jubril conspiracy.
It's going to be a shocking...
So the government needs to be very, very careful and very, very strategic in handling his matter this time around. He has a large followership, whether you like it or not. I've seen people who are similarly educated and they are ready to, draw dagger to tell you that, look, the man in Nassau Rock is Jubril. Even when you tell them, even after the man granted the live interview on TV, they still came out and say, no, is this, is that. That shows how much influence Nnamdi Kanu has on all of this.
Okay, Peter is calling us from Makoka in Lagos.
Hello?
Yes, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to everyone there.
Yeah, good evening, Peter.
Yeah, I'll try to brief, try to punch it. My first position is this, yes. Yoruba say, now what it means in contextual is whenever there is any problem, it is good to look for the cause and remove the cause.
Exactly.
Not to continue to, that is in a cause-effect relationship. The wise thing is, what is causing this thing that we see? What we see is an effect. So what is responsible for this thing that we see, which is an effect? Look for it and remove it. So I stand by that the government should look for the cause of the problems we are having, which is leading to breakup, and remove it. In looking for the cause,
Okay. Whether we like it or not, the issues that led to the 1967 Civil War, they are still very much here with us. If Ayo, you and I, we've covered elections in the East on several occasions, and we know the situation of infrastructure in that part of the country, and we know the kind of mindset that people in that country have towards the central government, especially when it comes to having their own representative at the helms of affairs in Nigeria. These are part of the issues that the government really need to address, really need to look at, and call their representative to a table, not political representative alone, because there is this tendency of you picking one chief here, one senator there, and call them the representative of the people. Talk to the real people who are carrying, arms and weapons against the Nigerian nation. If you look at the situation of things in the East right now, there's this fear in my mind that even the Anambra election may not hold. With the rate at which the INEC offices in that region are being bombed and being attacked here and there, there is this fear in the minds of INEC officials and even police officers. There was a joke that a particular INEC office was burnt, and the leader there now called on the police DPO that please send your men here to come and protect. And the DPO told him that, Oga, we are also protecting our station. if the police is not even secured in the south, there are more to Nnamdi Kanu. There are more issues to what we see on the surface. And until Mr. President show that genuine interest in addressing these issues, there are millions of Nnamdi Kanu. If you eliminate this Nnamdi Kanu, another Nnamdi Kanu will come up. That one is a given. You understand? Like Paul was saying earlier, he was saying something that he said he cannot substantiate. Anyway, maybe he cannot substantiate it, but the body language of this government, of especially Mr. President, has not shown that he was ready or is ready or willing to engage anybody in meaningful discussion. He had this predisposition, this mindset about issues on the ground, and that's what led to that statement that he made on Twitter that is, causing some of us not to use Twitter right now, because he could not bottle it. He could not bottle that anger, and he had to pour it out.
We'll talk to them, the language they understand.
Ordinarily, what I would have expected Mr. President to do is that, look, you tried to explain that tweet, that look, this is not what I meant. You cannot build up a statement with 1967 Civil War, the program, and then you end up with, you speak the language you understand. And you expect the people to roll out drums and start celebrating you. It won't happen that way. So I expect that even after Twitter pulled out that tweet, what Mr. President should have done ordinarily to show that he was willing to engage
his handlers
in meaningful discussion, invite them to a round table, try to explain what you meant. That look, I'm not trying to spite you with the 1967 Civil War. This is what I meant. I'm talking about criminals among you. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about that. Until that is done, prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu may be just a waste of time.
All right, we take this break. When we come back, we talk about the defection of Governor Matawale of Zamfara State from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away. It's your favorite news and current affairs program on TVC News, and I have Obadiwe and Paul that are still in the house. It's a transfer season in Nigerian politics. As politicians continue to realign and join forces, the story of party defection takes us to Zamfara State, where Governor Bello Matawale formally defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC, validating the fact that the party affiliation is never permanent. Meanwhile, the PDP has declared governors defecting from its fold as lacking the courage to withstand pressure from the APC. Oh, Paul, Governor Matawale, when you look at this first, and it was Governor Ayade, but you said governor. Dave Umahi, after the, Governor Ayade. After Governor Ayade, now it is Zamfara State Governor. Now, the argument of PDP that time, as at that time, is that, Dave Umahi was not seeking a second term. He's not a second term, he's a second term governor already. He's not seeking any re-election. That's Ayade too is a second time governor. He's not seeking a re-election. Matawale was just sworn in, was just voted in 2019. This is his first term. And in spite of the facts that when it comes to security, when it comes to the level of insecurity in this Zamfara state, the level of insecurity in Nigeria right now, the economic situation in Nigeria right now, the unemployment rate, the fact that, in terms of governance, the federal government of Nigeria has not done so well, but they're still attracting the big political weight that will define 2023 election.
Well, it's all about 2023. This is all about 2023. We know that. But I can understand why PDP is shivering and shaking. I hope I'm sure you also know that from what we hear, there are moves to still get 3 more governors. Yes, the Fintiri of Governor Fintiri of Adamawa.
Yes.
The governor of Abia State.
Yes, and the one in Enugu, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. And of course, PDP will not just will not give up without a fight. You know, they won't be you can't expect them to be comfortable. They also want to win. They want to take back power in 2023. And we know that what is happening is very strategic. It's very strategic. But again, this is not new. You can talk of Ayade not seeking another election. You can talk of what's his name again, Dave Umahi. But PDP has also benefited from this kind of thing. Obaseki was a first-time governor under APC. Is now second time is a governor on behalf of PDP. But again, this kind of thing, to me, it doesn't make sense, really, honestly. Let's get serious. Now, PDP is citing the Constitution, although there is no definite provision in the Constitution that says a governor cannot defect. However,
I think it's in the.
However, there is
for lawmakers.
Yes, for lawmakers, if there is crisis in your party, that is all resolved. But the PDP is relying on Section 221 of the Nigerian Constitution and a Supreme Court judgment in the case of Falike and INEC that says the votes belong to the party. The governor is an agent of the party. So if you win on the platform of a party, that it is not fair while you are still enjoying the benefits, I mean the advantage that came to you through the victory you won on the platform of that party, it is not fair for you to defect. But it's been happening. What I think should happen is, I think there should probably is one thing they have to look at as they are doing constitutional amendments to solve I mean, if we are going to stop defections, let it be very clear in the law that okay, a governor cannot defect to another party while he's still enjoying the advantage or the benefit of winning on a platform of his party.
Dave Umahi, Governor Ayade, they did not succeed in taking along their National Assembly members in their states. The senators, the House of Rep members, and even local government chairman and House of Assembly. What is happening in Zamfara today? The governor is going.
Total
the House
defection.
of Assembly is defecting.
He's what chairman? What secretary? we even read that
all the senators will be defecting and House of Rep members.
He had no one to drop his letter of resignation to, because by the time he called his ward chairman, that one also told him that, look, Oga, we have even defected before you. So we don't know. And then he tried to reach out to the secretary, and we also heard that the secretary had also defected to the APC.
So it's total.
It's complete. I'm afraid that the PDP.
Don't forget, let's trace the history of this Zamfara state. Let's trace it from 1999. This was the state's ANPP state,
yes.
APP.
APP then, before it became ANPP.
All through that time, APP. So, you know, complete. It was one of those states that when they face...
It's a unitary party state.
Yes. If you check out the result of the 2019 election, you will see...
Massive.
The APC, the person that contested against this same Governor Matawale, it was like a landslide victory
Massive.
for APC.
Massive.
And APC swept all the House of Assemblies.
100%.
Assembly. APC swept all the 3 senatorial districts.
But they lost.
And they swept the House of Assemblies. Just because of the infighting, the court made that pronouncement. And SEC, across board.
But now everything is going back to default.
APC.
Everything is going back to default. If the governor, who of course is seen as the leader of the party in that state, is also defecting to the APC, and every other person who is an elected official in that state is also defecting to the APC. For me, it's not too good for our democracy, but again, you want to look at it as a further test.
I asked Paul before, is it not ironical that the public, when it comes to public opinion, the opinion poll on this government, APC-led government, when you look at it and the statistics, it's all adding up. They're not doing so well.
And naturally, you expect a PDP to latch on that advantage
and
build
gain
on
more
it.
ground,
but
expand, and Nigerians to come to the rescue or another party. But this is like a Stockholm syndrome, as in
it's happening the other way around. Nigeria is a two-party state.
People are rushing to APC.
Look, let's face it candidly. You know, Paul said let's get serious the other time. Nigeria is a two-party state. There is no point denying that.
I know.
All of those other parties that we mentioned, they register today, they register tomorrow. They are just there, they call them mulekun in Yoruba language, just to, make the auditorium filled up with people. We are a two-party state, and that is the truth. Now, having established that, we see that PDP naturally is not used to playing the opposition, and that is their problem right now. Because any sensible party, in a Nigeria of today, where the optics are not favorable to the present government, any opposition party in the mold or in the size of PDP should latch on that, take advantage of that, and worm its way into the heart of the people. We should not be hearing of PDP governors switching to APC. We should rather be hearing of APC governor switching to PDP.
And to give us a sign of what will happen in 2023.
But sadly, PDP is hemorrhaging in all areas. Internal bleeding everywhere in PDP. There's infighting in the PDP. The party members are calling for the sack of Uche Secondus. Look at the PDP in Lagos, for instance. One of the seemingly LDS PDP state chapters in Nigeria. They also ran into trouble waters. On June 20.
No, Lagos PDP. It has never been held.
No. On the surface. That's what it seems. That's what it appears. You understand?
I can tell you since 1999. Lagos PDP. You
understand? Now,
there's always.
Doherty has been pulled out. Adedeji is coming in. Adegbola is coming in. They have an election in some weeks' time, which is local government election. The house is not even put in order. That's even at the state level. If you go to federal level, the same problem. Secondus, you said?
Even regional level.
Secondus is this. I'm afraid that one day the whole of PDP will just defect to the APC. The way things are going.
But to me, it only shows that there's no ideology. You are talking about Nigeria being a two-party state. It's the same thing with the US. Of course, you have smaller parties. Yes, but the fact is, you know what the Democrat Party stands for, what it stands for, and it has been consistent. The Republican Party is the same thing. I keep asking myself, what is the difference between PDP and APC? They are two sides of the same coin. We've seen people running for governorship.
There's a difference.
Exactly. We've seen people running for governorship.
No, there's a difference between the two parties. It's just their logo. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Even if you study their constitution.
Oh, no, look at that logo. That's green.
We've seen people running for governorship, the same person running for governorship on both platforms. We've seen the same person running for president on both platforms. Immediately something happens, you just move. Then again, another problem is the problem of internal democracy. We're having a problem where people are stronger than institutions. That is what's also happening in the larger society. I once asked someone, a top shot in ICPC, I asked him in the presence of everybody, I said, can you tell me that there's no political interference in what you do? And I told him, don't lie, because lying is corrupt. Everybody was laughing. The truth of the matter is, the institutions are not strong. There are men who are bigger than the parties. These men want to impose their will on the people.
Is that not intentional?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, I have Gabriel calling us from Apapa in Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Gabriel.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Gabriel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Hello, Hello, good evening.
I don't think
Gabriel, you're live. Go ahead.
Gabriel. I don't think you're.
So even you just find out that and they are talking about, as at now, I think 22 governors for the PDP, I mean for the APC, and maybe 13
for the PDP.
More still
If you are still telling me out of the 13,
I'm highly disappointed. I'm highly disappointed in the PDP because before now, one had perceived the PDP to be the only national party, the true national party in Nigeria, in the recent of it, where you don't have owners of the party, even at the state or regional level, unlike other parties. But here we are.
No, that's not the party.
That's what I'm saying. Things have changed.
Exactly.
Things have changed. Here we are with the PDP, collapsing like a pack of polypack cards. And it's a bad omen for the party ahead of 2023. And Kola Lobodinyo was saying that, look, they are going to court, they are going to drag the APC to court, they are going to do this, they are going to do that.
It's just like you say campaign after election.
There are no issues in the PDP, so the governors are not justified to leave the PDP. Fine. It's another test of our judiciary. Take it to court. Let us see what really happens or what comes out of it. But hey, you need to also consider freedom of assembly, whether you like it or not. And that's paramount for these governors.
If you were citing the case of Faleke, and from my understanding in that case and everything, don't you think it is even morally wrong for you to have won your mandates, gotten your mandate through a political party, and because of political expediencies, because of political calculations around you and everything, you are now you have to drop.
Well, it looks like morality is a stranger to Nigerian brand of politics. Morality, conscience, are strangers to Nigerian politics. It's all about political expediency, which strengthens the fact that people seem to be more after their interests. Everybody is
the bottom line.
Exactly. It is not the interest of the populace. Even political position is not a do or die affair. I mean, if they don't want you, they don't want you. And if truly they don't want you, they don't want. It's democracy.
Okay, let's wait. Kesango is calling us from Imo State.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Kesango.
It is so disheartening, unfortunate that at this material time, the giant of Africa, politicians are not being driven by ideology. It is quite unfortunate. Before you could find any politician in Nigeria that is being driven by ideology, it becomes so much of a problem. Let me tell us, all this whole cross-carpeting we are seeing are just informed by self-glorification and aggrandizement. And that's just the true position of things. They do not consider the people. The interest of the people is not being considered at all. Okay, what justification will Governor Matawale tell us? Is he trying to link his state to the national grid? That is the language. And that is why some of us are saying we must restructure this country. See, if we write the constitution for the people, by the people, and for the people, we will make a very strong clause there. If you're going to leave your political party to this party, when there is no problem in your political party, you will leave your seat. Since he wants to join from PDP to APC, he will step down as governor, so that another person will take over. This is how it should be. People should learn to do things with ideology. People should learn how to put the interests of the people they swore to protect first before that.
Oba, the governor of Yobe State seems to be like a master poacher. As in, since he got there,
he's the one leading the
results. And yesterday, somebody listed the people that they've dumped to the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress that he has pushed during this 1.5 year term.
Maybe that's part of his plan. And don't forget also that even the APC that appears to be the bride,
getting stronger, waxing stronger,
to be the bride that everybody is going to. All is not well with the APC itself, whether we like it or not. Except if you want to.
No, we're waiting for that convention.
That convention will not hold.
No, it will definitely.
The convention will not hold. I understand, but again, if you look at the optics, if you look at the equation on the table, you see that people who are against that convention, they are even on the majority side than people who really want it. But give it to him for poaching even governors. It's not an easy thing for you to poach a sitting governor from the opposition to your party, except if maybe a few months to an election, as done by the likes of Saraki and the rest of them. You remember the election that produced this government,
yes.
that 5 governors left the PDP all at once.
That was the end of the Jonathan administration.
Yes, that killed Jonathan. So it's a big plus for him. You want to give it to him. And I don't know how it's going to work out at the convention. Maybe you want to stay on as the party chairman. We've had insinuations in that regard that there are some manipulations here and there.
They don't have a date for their convention yet, but they have
to retain
fixed date for their congresses
yes.
and everything, but no convention.
No convention.
And that's quite strange to me.
They will definitely hold their convention. Where they have to hold it.
It's a constitutional requirement.
Okay, me, I was thinking that when we start talking about congresses, you know, across this until state congress and everything, everything will graduate to the convention. Convention is always the last,
exactly.
you know, to choose the national members of the national working committee. But the president didn't say anything. The party didn't say anything about that convention holding and when that convention will be held.
That's my fear. The fear I just expressed.
Okay. And finally, it's exactly 4 months and 8 days to the Anambra State governorship election, in what is expected to be a keenly contested poll. But at the moment, the coast is unclear regarding who will fly the flag of the All Progressive Congress, APC, in the election. Aggrieved APC governorship aspirants in the state have petitioned the party and President Muhammadu Buhari to nullify Andy Uba's candidacy. They berated the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, for declaring Uba candidate of the party. The managing director of the National Inland Waterways Authority, George Mohalu, and 11 other aspirants said there was no primary election of the party that produced Uba, describing his emergence as fraudulent. I don't know, Paul.
When are we going to?
When 11 of the aspirants and a sitting governor left Ogun State to go and conduct that election, and 11
out of 13,
they are saying election did not hold.
Okay.
What is happening? This is embarrassing.
We can say that these 11 aspirants are featherweight. Somebody can make that argument, but the truth of the matter is, from what witnesses say, there were places that the election did not hold. I mean, people went there.
There were places.
Exactly.
Not that election did not hold
election
at all.
held. There are people, this is what they are saying. People went, and then there were no officials to conduct elections. And even Christine Ngige also said, look, no election is happening here. Postpone the election. Ngige said it. Postpone the election. But mine is, it's up to APC to decide. I mean, they have petitioned their leadership to know what to do. But I am looking for a time in this country where we can conduct a simple primary election without rancor. Where we can conduct a simple primary election without recourse to the court. Must we always go to the court? Can't we just... primary election is very easy, and this is supposed to... It was an open ballot... Interest. You see, it still goes by what we're talking about. Interest. People are pursuing their personal interest beyond the general interest, and that is very unfortunate. That's very bad. So APC has got to get its acts together. Not only APC, ABGA is also having problems. The problem ABGA is having at the moment. They are split into factions. Some people don't recognize Chukwuma Seludo. What is happening to our politicians, for God's sake? Can't they just get simple things right?
Now, when you look at Anduba ran 4 years ago. I was there at the primaries, and he ran against Tony Owoye and some other distant. And Tony Owoye emerged the candidate, and Anduba is back 4 years now. And a lot of people will tell you that, look, that when it comes to political calculation and everything, this man understands.
Yes.
But how will you think a sitting governor will be involved in primary election, and more than half of those people that participated in the election, they are saying that look, election was not held.
It's still an allegation, which I expect the National working committee or
I'm sure that Governor Dakwabiodo should be able to make his submission and let us know what really happened.
So everything is still in the realm of allegation. You know, the 11 candidates or aspirants that have come together to, berate the governor have their reasons, and the governor also have his reasons for declaring Uba the winner of that election. Don't forget that in 2007, this man, the Uba, you remember the crisis that engulfed Anambra State then.
Is there an excellency for some weeks?
He won an election. He was sworn in until the Supreme Court came to, to boot him out of office. That same man you just mentioned 4 years ago against Umuye. Now, that same man is in the story again in Anambra State. That tells us something. That trajectory tells us something about the man. The man is a strategist, whether you like it or not. You can't take it away from him. Regardless of how the election pans out, he did not conduct the election. He's not the one that conducted the election. It's a party that conducted the election. He did not declare himself as the winner. It's a party that declared him as the winner. We read about his strategy of, during the last revalidation of membership in APC, how he mobilized his people across all wards, all units in Anambra State to ensure that his supporters, invade, so to say, the APC. They are registered across all, in all areas. It is for purpose or for reasons like this, which he has used. So I expect that, just like you said, the governor of Ogun State, who conducted that election, will make his own submission. The 11 aspirants have made their own joint submission, as represented by Mohalu. Let the national body of the party now come into the picture and tell us, because as it is going, the APC may end up not having a candidate in that election. If care is not taken, they may end up conducting that general election, they may end up winning that election, and at the end of the day, the Samfara experience, may now befall them again. They need to be very, very careful. And besides, it's not even the APC in that party. We're talking about the PDP the other time. PDP has also produced 2 candidates in that election.
Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen in the studio.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Nnamdi Kanu, and I'm calling from Owerri in Imo State.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
We're following you.
Hello? Yeah. Yes, my name is Nnamdi Kanu, and I'm calling from Imo State. Yeah, honestly speaking, what is happening in Nigeria today as regards the cross-carpeting of these political gladiators is not helping matters at all. I had expected that given the level of insecurity we are experiencing in this country today, talk more of even the level of poverty that is pervading the land today, these politicians should have been more interested in seeing how they can, better the lives of Nigerians than moving from one party to the other. Matawale, who is moving from APC to PDP, from PDP to APC today, I would know his reasons. They will have always come up with flimsy excuses. But the point remains that there is so much insecurity in his state. Other than this unnecessary ceremony moving from PDP to APC, couldn't he have channeled this energy into finding solutions to the level of insecurity he has in his state and bettering the lives of his citizens? It's unfortunate, like somebody rightly pointed out, politicians have no business with the ideology in Nigeria. They are only driven by self-centered interests.
Thank you for your submission. Now, when you look at this primary election, let's do a kind of SWOT analysis on the All Progressive Congress in Anambra State. Is the party strong in Anambra State? And a lot of people will say, look, if it's not ABGA, it will be PDP, and APC comes third on the ladder.
Really, it's an ABGA state, and we can't say. Although Willie Obiano also has this a lot of people that are opposed to him, but he's still the governor, and governor has weight. So
and the sentiment for that party.
Yes, the sentiment for that party in the state. So with what is even happening in APC now, except they get their act together, this can even weaken the party a little bit with what's happening in the same thing. I believe ABGA will definitely find a solution to its problem.
Because they have the same problem too.
They have the same problem. PDP, all this the same problem. So
the major political parties.
The major political parties are having problems in that state. They will get their acts together, but I think APGA still remains, to my mind, it remains the strongest in that state.
One person we're not talking about and can pull the surprise at any time is Senator Ifeanyi. He's contesting.
Yeah, he's contesting.
He's a candidate.
Let's see how it pans out.
Ifeanyi, don't forget.
Ifeanyi is also.
Don't forget, Ifeanyi is a sitting senator.
Yes.
And for the first time, he left PDP,
a mainstream party.
He went to a party, a so-called obscure, unknown party, YPP, and he won the Senate with YPP.
So it can still spring up the surprise in this election. But coming back to the APC, they don't have any issue in their. Coming back to the APC now, if you look at the result of that election, I don't know how they are going to resolve this matter. If you look at that result of the election, the margin is so wide. According to what Governor Dakpabedo announced, 230,201 votes were polled by Andy Uba out of 348,490. That's even very close to the overall number of votes.
And you are telling me that elections did not hold.
And the closest to him...
Who wrote this figure?
The closest to him, wait for this. The closest to him, John Bosco Onuko, scored 28,746. Compared to 230,201 votes polled by Andy Uba. That's a very huge margin. I don't know how they are going to resolve it. Whether
are you saying the case of bad losers in this?
I don't know. I guess so.
Soludo also won by a landslide.
No, because right now the impression they are trying to give is that they are testing, they are questioning the competence of Governor Dakpabedo.
Yes.
Because when you are saying the election did not hold anywhere in Anambra State, and you are churning out this figure, where did they get this figure?
The two of you agree that election actually held, but it may not have,
some people were disenfranchised. They are saying they were not allowed to. They didn't see.
That's a different case entirely. There is no perfect election in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. That's a different case. But for you to come out and say the election did not hold at all is a very strong allegation, even against the sitting governor of your own party. So I expect, but sadly, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the leader of the party, from recent history, has demonstrated that he's not interested in anything that does not affect him directly. He may not really show any serious interest.
How do you want Buhari to talk?
You understand? So the National Working Committee needs to come to work here. Are they going to have another election? Are they going to tell Andy Uba that you lost and bring another candidate?
And don't forget there's a time frame for submission of
they may end up not having an election in that election. Not being a candidate in that election if care is not taken.
Paul Dada, thank you for your contribution today. Thank you. And Obade, thank you for your contribution. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program.